My name is Sarah Grain. I am currently the Business Manager for the DACH region, which is Germany, Austria and Switzerland at Eriez-Europe. When I joined Eriez in 1996, I joined as a member of the sales team, the first female member of the sales team, and I joined as an export sales executive, primarily concentrating on developing our sales with customers in German-speaking and French-speaking countries in Europe. So I did a lot of work with our customers in Germany and France, obviously. Then after that, I moved on to slightly more senior positions, to senior export sales executive, then became the export manager after a while, which is very nice. After that, I moved on to a key account manager position, looking after some of our biggest customers. And then from there progressed to the overall sales manager position. And then in 2020, I took on my current role as the business manager for the DACH region for Germany, Austria and Switzerland. Gosh, biggest milestones. I think some of the more unusual things perhaps. I have had the opportunity, very interesting, to present some technical papers at various symposiums in different countries in Europe, primarily perhaps in the mineral processing sector. That's always very nice. Stand up in front of people, tell people about the products that we make and their applications. Something I was very proud to do back in 2014, I was asked to speak at the House of Lords to the all-party parliamentary group on modern foreign languages, chaired by Baroness Cousins, to highlight the shortage of language skills for businesses when they're looking to recruit people who've got foreign language skills, the lack of interest and support in education for foreign languages, and therefore the lack of homegrown talent coming through. Eriez-Europe as a company, when we've been looking to employ people with language skills, we recognise that this really does benefit our sales efforts in other countries. And I guess perhaps one thing I ought to mention really, I did meet my husband at Eriez when he joined the company in 2000 after an acquisition, and yeah, glad to say he's still working at Eriez and we're still together. Since I joined Eriez in the sort of mid-90s, the company has changed a lot. I mean, primarily in size. When I joined the company, there were less than 60 people working here. Now it's closer to 150, so it's obviously a much bigger company. We've added new product ranges to the company, so it's expanded in its opportunities for sales and its applications. We cover a lot more countries now. It's just really evolved. I mean, when I started at Eriez, I didn't even have a PC in my first few months. I remember early days of travelling. You know, you'd be travelling with a paper map with no phone. It was a very different world back then. So when I joined Eriez, I was the first woman to join a technical sales team, and I think that was a bit of a surprise to certainly the engineering team at that time, who weren't quite sure what to make of it. Glad to say that's no longer the case these days, and we certainly employ a lot more women at Eriez now in a far wider range of roles, which is fantastic. I think one of the things that is motivated me to stay at Eriez over this time is how interesting the job is. Doesn't just sort of fit into one little box. We visit all sorts of customers, all sorts of different applications, industries, countries. There's always something new to learn, and that is inspiring and motivating. I still feel after 30 years that I don't know enough. You know, I'm not bored, and I think that's not common these days in a job. It's very easy to just kind of be overly familiar with what you're doing and not find any joy or inspiration in that. But I think the kind of company that we have and the sort of role that we have here at Eriez, you're always learning. There are always new applications, new products, things are changing, and that really does give an extra element to the role that keeps that motivation alive. If I wanted to give myself a piece of advice looking back 30 years, I think maybe don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. I think sometimes, you know, when you join a company, it's all a bit intimidating, and you are perhaps one of the few. It's something new for a company to have a woman in a technical sales role. sometimes you can feel a little bit, ooh, you know, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to be proud of what you know and not be afraid to put your point of view across and to, yeah, if you want something, push for it. I think for women in the workplace generally, things have improved enormously, but there are still challenges. You know, there are times when, even these days, visiting customers, they don't expect them to be dealing with a woman in certain roles. And I think we all wish that that was different. I think all we can do is all be as professional and competent as we can so that that becomes accepted, but also to make sure that we do whatever we can to support other women in business and to advocate for everybody. So if I look at Eriez today compared to 30 years ago, I say it's not just a different company at Eriez-Europe, it's a different company globally. And I think there's a huge movement now from Eriez corporate division down through all of the manufacturing facilities globally to support our sort of One Eriez initiative, to share our common goals, our common knowledge, abilities, to make everything better by sharing knowledge, by improving systems, communication, and really pushing the company forward to make sure that I'm not going to be here for another 30 years, but perhaps some other employees will be, and that they still have opportunities and enjoyment and see how the company is moving forward for them at that time too.